Okay, good morning, everybody. This inset session today is just to talk about some of the basic things in Google Classroom that we've adapted over the last 12, 24 months, and how we're moving forward now and stepping up how we use Google Classroom. So there's some helpful little tips, should I say, to guide you through, and just some visual examples just to obviously get you thinking about how you could deliver some of your lessons or maybe produce some of the evidence that you require for your students. So without further ado, let's move on. So I'll be covering how to duplicate last year's classes to save you time and effort, whether it's for you or whether it's for a colleague. So I'll go through that. How to set up a clean and tidy classroom. A lot of people now, I've done a lot of research over this last 6 months with students getting honest opinions on which or what they would like to see when they open their Google Classroom, because obviously a lot of information then confuses them. And at the end of the day, this is all about making it life easier for the student, as well as making it life easier for the teacher. So I'll be talking about that briefly. Recording lessons, for whether it's for flipped or blended learning or revision learning, allowing students to go back and clarify what's been taught in the lesson. And that'll be based around the content rather than big discussions. I know over the past lockdowns, we've had people recording the whole of their lessons for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's not the easiest way for a student to go back and look at what's been said or discussed. And then there's the little method of teaching live, but actually recording the content of your lesson, which actually is only 6 to 10 minutes, something like that. So we'll just have a brief discussion on that one. Using video evidence. So a lot of us obviously using things like this, Screencastify, use Loom, Meet, Google Meet, whatever. Now, these are all great ways to record your lessons, and please don't stop. That's how to do it. But there is simpler ways of doing it and storing it, such as using YouTube. Whether you use YouTube Live, if you're good enough to use that or haven't experienced it, please give it a go. Or whether you're doing something like I'm doing today, and I do quite a lot just because it's the easiest way for me to do it, is use a Google Castify, trim it to where I want to do it to make sure it's nice and smooth. And then I quickly upload it to YouTube, and I obviously offer people links like I've done today. It's easier to store it all. It's never going to get lost because it's in my Google account, because YouTube's connected to that. Unlike if you use any of the other devices or add-ons, if there is ever is a chance of them removing that add-on, then you will lose all your videos. So that's just another way of creating and using your evidence. Using the plagiarism tool, simple ticks to put on an assignment or a piece of material to check that the students are not plagiarizing. It measures it in percentages, quick and effective for you to have a quick look and give them a warning. Okay, but I'll talk about that in a minute. And obviously during the lesson, I would have asked for any questions or anything like that. So without further ado, let's move on. So first of all, how to duplicate a classroom from last year. So the first thing you do is open your classroom. So you've got all of your classes on the page, and you will see from I've chosen one of my classrooms, and then I've circled the 3 dots, the little snowman. You would click on that bit first. When you click on there, a drop panel comes down, and it is as simple as pressing copy. When you press the copy, it will come up here. It will title your new classroom the same as this, and it'll just say a copy of, and then it will take a couple of minutes just to make a copy. Now, it will copy that for the person that is doing it. So if you're a teacher, which obviously you need to be to do that, it will make a copy for the person who made the folder, or it will make a copy for the person who's been added to the folder. So whether you're someone who is teaching it and you just want last year's minus all the students and all the students' work, you will press that, and there you go, you've got this year's. If you're a new teacher and you're receiving it from one of last year's teachers, then all they need to do is add you as a teacher to it. You will then open up last year's and you can make your own copy. It is that simple to do. And again, once you've made your copy, you can remove any teachers that don't need to be on it. Just to clarify, when you do make a copy of a classroom, it will give you every bit of resource that you've used in the previous class from last year, minus all the students, okay? And then when it comes across, it will be in draft format. So all you need to do is click on it, on the edit button, and press post or assign. Okay, that's simple. So there you go, copying last year's classrooms. So, how to set up a clean and tidy classroom. This has been really important because over this last 6 months, like I said, I've talked to students, I've asked them how they like to see it and what confused them. Now, common feedback for me was some teachers, for example, could be talking about a specific learning aim or objective, and they just chuck in all the PowerPoint presentations, all the material, all the bits of paperwork, all under one heading. And it gets confusing over the students over the coming weeks on what is what and which is linked to each lesson. So there's other teachers, who put things down in lesson order, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, not a problem. However, don't title what that lesson was about. And I'll talk about that and show you examples in a second. And other students preferred and looked at week by week. So it said week 1, and then it had the lessons, week 2, lessons, and such forth. And this was good for them who missed lessons because it was easy to catch up. So very quickly, let's talk about how to set up your Google Classroom. And this is not to say you have to do it like this. This is just to give you an idea or some guidelines of what students like and what they thought was easy. Okay, so one of the ones that we come up with was week 1 with a date and then various lessons. Now, an example of this is if you were only to see one class for one lesson per week. That's the simplicity of it. Obviously, if you see them 2 or 3 times a week, then all of those lessons, 1, 2, and 3, could be under week 1. It's simple. It's got the title. It says the lesson in numerical order. It gives it a title. That's all the students need to see because they can see which area they have missed. Okay, so that's an example of how that could look to the students. Then, as the student clicks on the lesson, within that lesson are the materials used. So you will see, first of all, lesson 1, there's the slides, so the teaching slides that I would have produced. A video, what I would like them to watch, whether it's in the lesson or whether they're at home or whatever. And the task with instructions of what they need to do. Very straightforward, clean and tidy, keeps the students in one place at each time. For the teacher, this is how you would set it up. So lesson 1, components of fitness. During today's lesson, we will cover components of fitness. Now, throughout the year, obviously the detail on this gets more intense once they get used to it. But to start off with, that's all they need to see. When I'm uploading, I would go to my Google Drive, upload my slides, go to YouTube, upload my YouTube video, and obviously whether it's adding a document for them to do the task or whether I've already preempted and made one, I would just select it from my drive and add it to there. And obviously because this is set up as material, that's what they would all get. If it was an assignment, I would click down here for the students to get one each. Remember to add the topic and press the save button. Now, another example of how you could do this, and again, this is just missing a couple of items for you to add to it. But for example, if you like doing things by learning aim, and this is one I would use. So learning aim, I give them only the term. I wouldn't give them obviously the year. And then lesson 1, and I would title it, and same scenario with the different material in there. Lesson 2 with a title, and then so on. But again, I would keep this in numerical order, also in learning objective order. And that would go on throughout the year. Students would always be able to go back and it's easy for them to see when they did certain topics. It's easy for you on your planning because you can see 6 weeks within a term. You can boil that down to lessons. It's excellent lesson planning material as well. And it goes all the way through. Obviously, I've used the 4 examples of the 4 aims that I would be teaching for most of my units. We always like to try and finish by Easter. That way we're mopping up in May. But this, if you're an A-level teacher, would be where you would start your revision periods. So again, it's just an example for what you could use for keeping your Google Classroom tidy. As you can see from all of the examples that I've given, that is what the student will see. So unless they click on a lesson, that's when they will identify what is in with each lesson. Okay, so therefore it's clean and tidy. Here's an example of what mine was looking like for my skill acquisition, nature of skills performance. It was clean and tidy on what I was going to be aiming for. So if, for example, the dreaded Ofsted came into the classroom, all the students would know what they would be learning in that period. Each lesson, numerical order, and it says whether it's task related or whether it's catch up and submit or and so on. You can see that they always knew where to go for each lesson. And again, when it came to setting up, this is last year's, again, an example, order of today's lesson. Now, this works if they are at home doing online lessons, if they're remote, whether it was because they've been ill or they couldn't make a lesson for one reason. Everything was in order. So an example of this, complete the recap question, because I would always set them a question because that would double up as a register for me. Watch the video, open the task, watch the video, complete the task, research your elite performer, and revisit all previous tasks. And again, this would expand further and further throughout the year as the students got used to it. So when you're recording your lessons, we talked about recording lessons previously using Screencastify and Loom and such forth, but then uploading them to YouTube, which is what I do for a lot of my lessons. Now you can see from down here, this lesson is based around content only, and it's about 8.5 minutes. So the lesson in the class would obviously be a 2-hour lesson, including tasks, including discussions, including them getting up with various parts of the lesson that I have put in place. But when I'm recording, I like to keep it short and sweet. That way students can go backwards and forwards to understand content whilst doing their assignment. The good thing is on this, it's not a substitute for missing the lesson, because they will miss out on all the extra instruction that you give during your lesson when we talk about examples and evidence and we analyze and we justify and such forth. The lesson that I record is content-based only. Okay, using video evidence. So more and more is evidence going to be paramount in this year as it was last year for students to make sure they get their grades. So one of the ways that we have stepped up now is getting students to be absolutely more active with their use of telephones, mobile phones, and making videos, video analysis, video discussions, video evaluations, whatever it is, but getting used to videoing themselves and uploading straight away to their YouTube accounts. All students can do this because they've got a Google account and YouTube is connected to their accounts. An example of this, how it could look in our department for PE and sport, students have to lead, take part in sports, instruct, coach, and so on. So what I did the last year is they all had to produce a PowerPoint presentation or Google Slide presentation with examples of them doing their coaching. So down the left-hand side, they had to contextualize what they were doing, and on the right-hand side, they had to perform it in that manner. So there's the silent demonstration, and then their second video was them talking about how they coached each area of the drill. Now, some of them over-talked the video, which was absolutely fine, and some actually did it as a part of their session, also absolutely fine. And then they had to show an example using the YouTube on where their coaching technique would benefit during a game. So as you can see, it flowed really nicely. They had to do this for 5 to 10 different skills. The presentation was more professional, and the students had more of a worth of what they were recording rather than just submitting video evidence on its own. They also used it to evaluate themselves. So students who didn't like evaluating in front of their peers or didn't like doing it in the classroom did it at home. And as you can see from this student here, she's actually at home doing it, and she created one of the best distinctions we had in this department through the fact that she was comfortable. It helped to build her confidence, and she managed to get all the information across. And that's how she produced it. And obviously various parts of the assignment were delivered all on a presentation. Moving on, using a plagiarism tool. So if you go up to set an assignment up on your for your students, and you've set the assignment up as you normally would do, you give all the information. Each down here is the assignment. Obviously, it's poorly titled by me, but that's just because I put it together as a quick example. Each student's got their own copy. I set it all up, ready for them to distribute. What I did then is, you see that down at the bottom right-hand side, check plagiarism. If you tick that button there, a little sign will come up saying 5 assignments with originality reports left. You can enable originality reports of 5 assignments per class. Now, 5 live ones. So once you have selected it and you've reached your 5, as long as you have marked it, you go back and you unclick it and you can carry on using them. Okay. Now, when you do this, and I should have put an example up here, but as you come in to mark your students' work in the top right-hand corner, it will tell you how much percentage of that report that your students have delivered is or has been taken from the internet. Now, it gives it as 5, 10, 15, 20%. You might be surprised. Do it early on to see how much some students do take. The good thing is if you do it throughout September, they will get into the habit of not doing it. Which is a great tool for you. I have a 10% rule in my lessons, so 10% of their work can come from the internet, and that tends to be their quotes, their examples, their referencing, something that they can't put into their own words. Obviously, pictures can do that, and so and so. So I have a quick look, and if it's obviously no paragraphs or long sentences, then I accept it, but anything else, they will get 24 hours to resubmit proper assignments without any plagiarism, and they will have a warning that if they do not, they will go on report, because we want to be strong and firm in this area. And that's all from this today's session, which was all about making your life a little bit easier, introducing some new initiatives and trying to tidy up that student experience on Google Classroom. I will be doing some surgeries over the next month, especially for using YouTube. And if anybody wants any ideas from tidying up their Google Classroom, then we'll talk about that as well. So if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me, jgorton@itchin.ac.uk, okay, or contact Mike and James Bedwell, Mike Dunn and James Bedwell, or Sadie, obviously, and we're all happy to help. Okay, focus for this year will be to introduce each department with a Google mentor or Google influencer, and they will be your go-to people for advice. And we will be creating a little team to set out little initiatives for people to try to make their life easier. Okay, guys, that's all for today. Thank you very much. Take care. See you later.